Babe, I'm using my phone video recording for the audio.
Okay.
Let's just go with that. Because I don't want it.
Right.
Right.
I went on like Google Hangouts, and I was gonna see if I could record here. But it's slow. If you haven't figured out, that's good. Okay. So should we like shorten it maybe, or I don't know?
No, let's do embassy times.
Embassy. Oh yeah, you're right. It's like 1 minute less of everything.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah. Wait a second. So it is
7-minute constructives.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and prep time is 6 minutes, although. Should we do a prep list?
That's actually a good question. I don't know. Maybe we should, but
Alright.
I think we should if like one of us does the prep time or something, I guess we can just a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, let's just start.
Okay. So
Right.
I should Okay. So we're gonna do it like entire speech.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. 3.
Okay, so
Oh yeah, timer.
okay. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Fantex, the United States federal government should undergo security corporations in the field of biotechnology to next generation molecule and hydrogen biofuels and reform the municipal fuel standard and single fuel concept to enable native militaries to experiment and adopt these new energy sources. Changing the NATO fuel standard will also allow alternative fuels necessary for climate change. Goodman considered NATO V22. COP26 marked the first review of commitments in Paris made in 2015. Despite being a significant source of greenhouse emissions, militaries have not been subject to economy-wide emissions reduction targets to date. NATO can support allies in their emissions reductions and adapting efforts by setting net zero and sustainable targets for defense spending, shifting away from single fuel policy towards more sustainable alternatives, and through different standardization agreements. Their current RFS solution costs more harm than good. Reynolds Price 22. The RFS significantly pushed up the prices of corn. Over millennia, these grasslands have created really carbon-rich soils. When you plant that after you expose a lot of it and make it vulnerable to bees, released into the atmosphere. The supposed benefit of biofuel is that although it releases carbon dioxide when it burns, that carbon was drawn down from the atmosphere by plants and makes up the fuel rather than being released from oil that was once underground. The RFS increased corn prices by 30% and the price of other crops by 20%. All the time, use has essentially outweighed the reductions in greenhouse gas emissions that come from growing fields becoming out of oil wells. So let's see. Additional research and development working next generation biofuels Summer Mom's Saudi Journal of Biological Sciences 32. Biofuels produced by microorganisms are continually being developed and modified to minimize dependency on finite fossil supplies to reach out and contribute to a healthier planet. The possibilities of microbiofuels are infinite, and hydrogen and molecules can probably be used to aviation fuels. This has the potential not only to attenuate but even reverse harmful consequences of climate change in the long run. And U.S. NATO cooperation is necessary for the adoption and shift away from FFC. Goodman Brooks about to achieve NATO review. NATO can support allies in the emission reduction and adoption of ever quickly net zero and sustainable targets for emissions going, shifting away from single fuel policy towards more sustainable alternatives. NATO's biggest assets is its network of partners across the globe, trust relations with other regional and international organizations. This network is crucial for both capacity, resilience, and improved regional awareness. In turn, NATO's climate solution translating defined part in market making opportunities. Advantage 1 is climate change. The United States is the largest consumer of fossil fuels. For conversation 2019, the U.S. military carbon footprint is enormous. The U.S. military is one of the largest polluters in the history, consuming more liquid fuels and emitting more climate change greenhouse gases than most countries. The U.S. is between two issues and make it alone the 47th largest emitter of greenhouse gases in the world. The military's climate policy is contradictory. There's been attempts to clean aspects of its operations by increasing renewable electricity generations on basis, but it still remains the largest institutional consumer of hydrocarbons in the world. It has locked itself into hydrocarbon-based weapon systems rules to come by depending on existing aircraft and workshops for open-ended operations. Link: hydrogen fuels do not emit CO2 when consumed. This is against your 21. Unlike most fuels, hydrogen does not produce greenhouse gases or CO2 emissions when burning. Since burning hydrogen fuels does not contribute to climate change, the versatility of hydrogen fuels makes many opportunities to replace fossil fuels in different parts of the economy. It can provide long-term energy storage for electric power sector, heavy fuel for heavy duty transport, and heat for the industrial processes. And algae fuels cut CO2 emissions. Algae biogas organizations, algae derived can reduce a life cycle of CO2 by 50 to 70% compared to petroleum fuels, and is approaching a smaller intrusion on investment as conventional petroleum. And algae can replace fossil fuels and is carbon neutral. Consume JAPI-19. Algae is completely renewable. A water resources study in 2021 found that algae biogas can replace roughly 38% of petroleum products. Cut the card at products. I'm going to go on to the internal link. U.S. military climate leadership spurs market changes. Mavius 20. The Pentagon uses more fossil fuels than any other organization on Earth. It is big enough to be a market changer and accelerator for renewable energy. Cut the card there and go to impact. Climate change gets lots worse with every 0.1 degree of warming versus every other danger. This is even Bowman Carter King too. Climate change is already causing widespread disruptions, droughts, extreme flooding heats are recorded both in Bethlehem, extremely rising that's for millions of people. And then you can cut the card back to people and go to climate change causes extinctions pattern download 19. For every 2 Celsius of warming, the scale of destruction is human civilization coming to an end. As the world will be overwhelmed by pandemic disease, location and nations will be under great stress, and dramatic rising migration and changes in agriculture. Power dam moving on to energy independence. EU is still buying Russian oil. This is code for 22. European countries importing an unprecedented amount of diesel in December. Diesel imports from Russia's storage to a regulatory 8.2 million tons in December. Diversified more than half of these imports. Converted imports can go to next-gen biofuels, make the countries less dependent, make countries more energy dependent. This is McAdams 22. Adopting a widespread use of biofuels will set the U.S. on the course to energy independence, and widespread adopting biofuels would help liberate Western government turning into pushing without acquired regimes. Cut the card there and go to internal link. European dependence empowers Russia. This is 2021. Western governments are grappling with an energy crunch while at the same time seeking to pile maximum pressures on the euro about bypassing Russian fuels. High dependence of Russian energy, and EU countries having some difficulty with Ukraine's croppers. And going to Patria, European dependence on Russia is funding Russia's wars. Europe has fought its subject and vulnerable on Russia. And cut the card there, go to scenario 1, energy independence erodes democracy, scenario 7, oil wealth also codes democratic institutions. Cut the card and go to democrats. Democracies are necessary to solve and society's challenges. 22, democracies are more effective against climate change for the same reasons they don't experience famines. Cut the card there, and I'm going to go to the green leadership advantage. What the heck? Uniqueness by administration trying to build it. If national solutions fight climate change, hope these efforts and succeed until the U.S. helps to be applicable and lead the way with justice reforms, not just executive actions. This is Hope Numbers 21. But I'm going to go to link. Acting on climate change is key in Netherlands' credibility. Rule 21. Failing to commit to reducing its own greenhouse gas so that made NATO's measures being hollow and provoked permissive investment to double standards. NATO does not allow for compromise to move things of greener images. It requires a narrative that identifies climate change as a major security. Look right there in this go to impact. Failing to show safety with climate change leadership will destroy our leadership in systems of international alliances. We need to show our leadership and allies that we share their values. Okay.
Is that time?
Yeah.
Here, can you do the timer since I'll be using my phone for the video?
Yeah, sure. So
right.
3 minutes for cross-X. I'll start it in 3,
right.
2, 1.
Right. Do you endorse NATO and the militaries as your actors?
It'll be the United States federal government and NATO.
Yes, okay, and their militaries, because, well, that's... No? Okay, next up, What's the date on the EU's uniqueness for the energy independence? What's the date for that?
23.
Specific month and day.
Yeah. On January 14th, 23.
Thank you. Right. So are you trying to shift to complete energy independence? Like there's no dependence on outside nations?
So energy independence means saying that we're not dependent on fossil fuels.
Okay. Right. If I can prove that your fuel sources aren't able to be implemented by the military, does that kill all of your links?
No, because we're saying that. Okay, so first off, our plan card states that we are going to be researching and developing until these fuels are adoptable by the militaries. And even if you somehow proved that you're not adoptable, we would still win the green leadership advantage because we could just put it in the market.
Okay, is climate change the only thing? Is climate change the only threat to U.S. hegemony and credibility?
There's a multitude of things. Our advantage to talk about this. Climate change is one of them, but there's also energy independence, and then there's also failure of green leadership.
Okay, but green leadership isn't the only thing that threatens U.S. and NATO credibility.
It's like a failure of diplomacy. So, rather than it just being credibility, it's capital that they'd be losing.
Okay. But there's still all causes to credibility and alliance opportunities and faith, right?
So it's that's only a sliver of it. It's also cohesion and interoperability, which is what our World War 21 card talks about as well.
All right.
Basically, their whole legitimization as a organization.
Prove that NATO is legit. NATO legit.
Yeah, and that's also a domestic and international.
Thank you. Right. The order will be 3 off and case. Or should I do? You know what? I'll still do it.
Okay.
Tell me time.
Yeah. Wait a second. Okay, so 3, 2.
1. Biden's focus on human allies unified Ukraine is working now. We're talking about 3. Biden's focus on showing up NATO unity, supporting Ukraine, dismissing concern about fatigue. Biden was confident that Western allies' unity remains. We have to consider working the providing the kinds of support to Ukraine that they need most. He's confident that allies are going to be staged together. Link decades of different approaches to make diplomacy sell to plan difficult to NATO. Given genetic literacy project 2022. Through biological innovation, the width of the land may be measured in light years than miles of kilometers. As perfect regulations for the partisan biotechnology are in North America, they are simply indefensible in Europe. In the United States led the world in the present day, we're across to improve it to biotechnology and another global standard for quality seeds, develop, improve real safety, sustainability, and economic productivity around the world. The lion's share of the benefits are occurring on behalf of small policies in developing countries. Europe took a different approach. Without cooperation, processes in developing and deploying biotechnology were impeded or forgotten. Any focus on diplomatic focus on Ukraine and military disaster was Wesley 19. During 2023, the West will be confronted by new challenges of Ukraine. Any loss of political attention could be disastrous. Ukraine outfought the Russians. Western weapons crucial. Yet for Russia, this is an existential war. For the West, Ukraine will languishes below national politics. In China, India, Middle East, and most of Africa, people accept the narrative as expansion. NATO obliged Putin to make a stand. The West is short, as tense split. Putin must wonder if the U.S. has a resolute as seems. Russian victory in Ukraine means Russia will have massive scale risk nuclear war with Russia and China, quote 224. Putin's invasion has sparked the most violent conflict in Europe since World War II. Hundreds of thousands have died. Thousands of war crimes have been documented across more than 600 miles. The stakes are high. The Russia succeeded, the nation-state's population of 400 million would be eradicated. The post-World War II national system would be weak, and there is a profound risk of escalation to a NATO-Russian nuclear confrontation. China is watching and might be interpreting a weak Western response to the invitation to move military against Taiwan. The U.S. cannot pay for the extra programs, so it's an astronomical debt. The plan to cause trade-offs between infrastructure and healthcare Berman 23. Washington declaring it could no longer pay its debt, hitting the debt, still hamstring the government's ability to finance operations, including providing for national defense or funding entitlements such as Medicare, Social Security. Additional repercussions include the drop of consumer confidence and recession. National debt could divide money and weight in infrastructure, education, and healthcare. Link military spending changes on domestic spending. Welcome Daily Reviews 2022. Spending choices that I share when no debt ever had consequences. Every government has made every worship lodge, every rock applied, signifies the fact that debt from those who are hungry are not fed, those who are cold, and those caught clothes. Original arms not spending it on money alone. It is spending the sweat of its laborers, the genius scientists, the hopes of children. Impact. The military spending decks economic growth. ASM 20. Peace and long-term sustainable economic development are prime agenda of all countries. The study found a clear negative effect of military spending on economic growth. Estimates provide strong support that military expenditure should not benefit a lot detrimental to economic growth. And we can findings of the study suggest that policymakers need to design the military budget to support economic growth and improve social welfare. Cut the card there. Now onto the final off case. Able Semitic integrated military war machine subjugates disabled and violent people are subhuman. This is avoiding voting issue. We must reject dissenting endorsement of ableist systems. Every opposition permitted formerly disabled body to be made ordinary again. The disabled will disappear. James Lee had a relationship between disabled black bodies in the US and US soldier citizens. Sean out the structural history of soldiers as citizens in the US. She argues that the history of blackness in the US to be answered as synonymous with disability, and as black and evidence based gay military participation as an avenue to liberation and citizenship, hitting the call for able-bodied men to fill military ranks. James argues for representation of the injured main body returned from war. James Adams sees the relationship between subject and event soldiering. The military mindset to repair and restore the returned soldier through tech repeats the expectation the main body is not a full subject, and the fulfilling of the body considered to be a full citizen. This ignores the culture of nature, the ability produced through warfare and thus violence the body must be restored from military. Cut the card there. Link, they try to present the act of the able military as a doer of good, hence with their advantages, which causes the subjugation of disabled people. Second link, NATO as an organization officially says able, so the technical endorsement NATO are not only affirmed NATO's organization that leads to Project Normalize those terms. NATO official website, indeed. I have two exhibitions documents. I could send them and later on, but they show how they're using the C slur in context that is not in disability studies where it would be proper, thus it is offensive. The alt is centering disabled processes through technoscience. Number 19, disabled bodies like disabled people are expert in the design of everyday life. We also harness technoscience for political attributes and combines demand secure, fix, eliminate disability. Technoscience brings together two practices: concepts, the non-compliant and asymmetrical position that disability is a desirable part of the world, and technoscience, the computational science, technology, and political life. This theory centers disability as a locus of resistance against culturally able-bodiedness and able nationalism, derived with generated craven practices. In a subject the field of disability studies have been integral science and technology studies since its origins. Since origins, especially through its critique of biomedicine and militarism, and in the base of situate epistemologies. Cut the card there. Now onto case. The biological limitations of algae make an unrealistic fuel alternative for the future. However, Winters 2020 requires too much fertilizer, too much water, and too much energy produced on scale to grow enough by fulfilling 5% of the U.S. transportation sector's energy demand, recording exorbitant fertilizer inputs of 107% of the country's nitrogen and half of its phosphorus. These larger processes could have net energy loss, and algae could have 50% more energy produced than it would offer as a biofuel. Acting through the military and climate change is following the National Security Rule 21. Military equipment requires many years development of our MCs to service. They have to be developed, purchased, and integrated in the national forces, and they have to be made interoperable with the equipment of other allies. Armed forces remain large consumers of fossil fuels. Military security and climate security must not be pitted against each other. With post-spring on warming, major impacts inevitable, according to 22. The UN Environmental Agency report found that there is no credible pathway to 1.5 Celsius in place, and that woefully inadequate progress in cutting climate initiatives. The only way to implement the worst impacts of climate change is a rapid transformation of societies. Current pledges for action by 2030, even if living in full, we need a rising global heating across about 2.5 C, a level that condemned the world to catastrophic climate breakdown. Only a handful of countries have ramped up their plans in the last year. It would not be enough to avoid severe climate impacts, including the collapse of Greenland's ice caps. Turns case, algae biofuels require petroleum sources to be produced, worsen the environmental benefit, and still use as fossil fuels. How Scientific American Magazine, 2010. The culprit is fertilizer. All of the nutrients needed to keep them alive and boost their production come from outside sources, and that fertilizer has an environmental impact because it's often made from petroleum feedstocks. Particularly algae, all that fertilizer has to come from you. Algae uses sunlight and water to convert carbon dioxide into materials that can use computer fuel. But that CO2 has to come from somewhere. It comes from petroleum-based sources as well. To convert algae into fuel, produces concentrate the algae away in water, separate tissue, and that takes a fair amount of energy, Cloud said. No one has the U.S. becoming more energy independent now is having some energy dependence is good for the economy. New in March 23, total gross crude and other liquid exports hit a record of 1.12 million barrels per day, within the total output of either Russia or Saudi Arabia. Hence, United States less vulnerable, which makes the United States less vulnerable against Russian efforts to use energy as a weapon. U.S. energy independence is a bit of a misnomer, since it implies the nation produce all the energy needs for its own consumption without buying it from any from foreign countries. It doesn't work like that. We need to import certain types of fuel to certain regions. Oh.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm not used to time.
No, like you stopped on time. Okay.
And I might have spread that a bit too fast.
It's cool. Okay.
Right, cross.
So I'll start with cross, like 3, 2, 1. So really quickly, how does biotech link?
Right. So the Europe and the Atlantic Council, they have so many different approaches to how they handle biotechnology development and such, which your plan, I presume, falls under, as hence your plan text. Thus, it would require a lot of management and capital in order to unify those efforts in a coalition. And I can also provide other internal links later on. It's just for time's sakes.
Okay. And then for debt, your impacts for economic growth and then trade-offs with infrastructure, if we were able to prove that like our plan bulks up economic growth and infrastructure, then like wouldn't that take away your impacts?
No, because the debt DA's impact comes before your plan's impact of economic growth, if you can prove it.
Okay. And then if like let's say Kevin McCarthy like was successful in raising the debt ceiling, wouldn't that like make the DA non-inherent?
Could you reiterate that?
If the House the House of Representatives or like Congress in general is successful in raising the debt ceiling, wouldn't that make your plan irrelevant? I mean the DA irrelevant?
No, it wouldn't, since it's still creating extra instability within the government, and also is paving way for even more extreme impacts of the DA.
Okay, and your
DA.
Okay, yeah.
It's not just the trade-off DA.
Right. Okay. Yeah. The able's okay. What's the alt?
The alt is censoring disabled perspectives through technoscience, putting their capabilities as the forefront.
Okay. How does that solve for the plan?
How does that solve? Well, their capabilities and mindsets to the forefront. They try to shift away from mindsets and their capabilities, which the institutions that you are supporting utilize methods and systems of ideals that go against that, and also rhetoric and such. So therefore, by centering their perspectives and showing off and putting them at the forefront, that we get to show and exemplify their hidden perspectives and dissent towards the systems you endorse.
Okay, and your case, you said that extinction. Okay, how is extinction from climate change not possible?
Oh no, that's not one of my cards. We're just saying that it's inevitable. At this point in time.
And then your energy dependence good.
Well, it's some energy dependence. It's just inevitable, and it's just some dependence. So your attempt to create full independence, or like trying to work really close to full dependence, also has a negative impact of economic like it decks economic growth.
Okay, so that was time, and I'm gonna just take breath actually.
Yeah. Oh, this is such a messy round. Already.
Most debates are.
No, but especially so. I don't have anybody to construct an actually good one and see. No, I forgot to read the analytics. So no, here's the thing. The debate round thingy got pushed to right now because of some issues. So we're doing it now. Leah's taking prep time now for her speech.
Oh. Okay. What'd you do all day?
Oh, I was working on this.
Huh? Did you bake anything?
Tried to.
So what happened? Hey! Let's go on a walk. 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 Let's go on a walk.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah. Alright.
Okay.
I hope you aren't salty that I chose to run a K.
Yeah, anyway. Not fun. Okay, as an actual debate.
No, I'm not. It's just I made so many blocks for this K. For me to only use it for one round that I just want to get a little more leverage out. But yes, of course I won't run this.
Okay. So ready to go in
Oh.
7 minutes.
Oh, what's the order?
Oh, okay. It's going to be case first, then the K, then the debt DA. No, sorry, then Ukraine DA, then the debt DA.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. So ready to start case in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so they dropped the new leadership. So I'm just going to like read basically like expand on the impact. Brooks in World War 16. There's no surveillance in relation to U.S. position of securities of to oversee allies during the next security enemies, according to theory, allows to have a strong deterrent effect, notably deploying military forces or gross nuclear deterrent, and exhibits evidence strong interest in upholding the status quo and staying aligned to the citizen with the major power. So yeah, they dropped it. I'll explain more in the 1AR. And then moving on to our case, algae has lower cost than coal and natural gas and create hydrogen geared to microbial. This is Bannon 22. Yin and team have successfully achieved a outdoor experiment is about 43.3 grams per square meters per day of biomass of integrity, which is a world record. The latest DOE target range is 25 square meters per day. Algae is a good alternative fuel source for the industry, and it's lower cost than coal and natural gas, and it provides a more efficient way for carbon capture and utilization. Okay, so their main problems with algae is that it fertilizers needs comes from petroleum and fossil fuels. While doing R&D on it can make sure that we can make algae like full bioreactors or labs, which do not need any fertilizer at all. And then we're also researching and developing until they're non-petroleum reliant. Also, they completely dropped fossil fuels, which means that even if algae doesn't work in the long run, we can just use hydrogen. So here's another card on it. The U.S. states are already trying to implement hydrogen fuels, showing how much of a trustworthy source this is. This is the Resilient 23. The Biden administration is turning hydrogen as its energy source for vehicles, manufacturing, generating electricity. States and businesses are already making final decisions Friday, and they're coming to compete for new programs that will create regional networks or hubs. And then going on to their energy independence, warming is not inevitable. It's not too late to act on warming. They're thinking about it all wrong. This is only 19. I think we can still make a difference, but it's important to see this on binary terms. So it's not a matter of whether or not climate change is here or not. It's that we cross the threshold or not, and every upward tick of temperature was making it worse. So we can avoid suffering by reducing as much as possible, no matter how bad it gets, no matter how hot it gets. You have the ability to make successful decades relatively less hot, and you should never stop trying. And then going on to their energy independence, it's good. It is not good, and I will go back to the case. They completely dropped our they completely dropped the fact that the EU, even if the US, even if the US is not as dependent, Russia is, European countries are still giving Russia $850 million per day to literally fund their wars. So no amount of energy dependence is good. And if the NEG actually believes that, then they're simply just saying that like we should continue funding wars which kill innocent people, which is like ridiculous. So. And also, like, they completely dropped our eroding democracy impacts, which speak about how democracies are literally key to solving every single societal challenge. So, like, no energy dependence is not good, and the fact that they also dropped that impact, which means that we win, that like we preserve democracies and solve for all social impacts. And then going back to the K. Okay, going on to the K. So, oh my goodness, going on to the K. Why am I getting lost? Okay, sorry. Going on to the K, weigh the app versus the neg. A, key is to deterring self-serving advocacies that don't advance a desirable change. Key to critical thinking education. And key to preventing the neg from meeting 8 minutes of the app. One, fairness. Unpredictable, progressive framework, structural speech debate. Now lose fairness and prerequisite to clash education turns to K. Testing. Weighing the app is key to test credibility against check empty criticism and consistent with burden of proof. Endure values vote for the debater who advances the most desirable political advocacy of everything else advertised for. And then question about whether the function debate, come do both, including against the measurable mandate in that network institution in Fatality 17, and term do the neg, they are a double bind. If the app cannot overcome the app, then it can also status quo. And extinction that ways comes first is Berg 16. Extinction is not only ethical categories demand it, but also it erases life forms, their histories and possibilities. And going to why is my computer literally froze? Oh my goodness. Going to what the heck? Okay, so yeah, extinction always comes first. By the way, when I asked the neg and process how to alt solve, they could not give me an answer. They just said that they would be solving the technoscience and bringing diverse perspectives to the forefront, which is great and all. But then again, extinction outweighs and comes first. They cannot beat our time frame nor probability of the plan happening. So therefore, like, we win the framework. And that we also turn the K, which they extinction comes first, and we turn the we win that we're key to educational and fairness. And then going on to the Ukraine DA. Hold on, my page is no. Okay. Going on to the Ukraine DA, okay, yes. So no link addressing climate change in data does not cause a trade-off with security. It's necessary to reduce the risk of future wars. This is Goodman Carrizo between two. There is no contradiction between NATO's cleaning efforts and the Allies' ability to deter and defend. And in fact, emission reductions coupled with new technologies offer operational advantages and improve over dependence on policies and sites and areas and security. Just go back to our military technologies like volunteers can increase military effectiveness. Rule 21. Actually, go back to our energy independence, where we're really saying that we're like stopping Russia's funding of wars. They're literally the only money source is oil, which the EU is buying like record amounts. They're really giving them $850 million per day to fund their wars. This is why they're killing innocent people in Ukraine. If your plan passes today, we literally stopped that basically billion of dollars to Russia's military, which helps the war and focus. So basically, it's another way to attack Russia. Like, there is no trade-off. Now going on to the WebDA. Okay, so Biden just passed his budget, which cuts federal spending, which is going in place today, and then also Republican House leaders and Biden are currently discussing ways to leave up the debt ceiling, which is going to happen very soon, according to the CNN article, which was literally posted yesterday. So that means that the debt DA is the debt DA is basically irrelevant, like I was saying, because it's not going to cause any economic unconfidence, because because the interest rates are not going to move up, or it's not going to discourage investments. It only all that impact only happens when Congress does not raise the debt ceilings. Okay. That was time.
Yes. Right. Are you ready
Yes.
for cross?
Yeah. Let me turn the time on. Sorry. Okay, now.
What's the type of capital that's the no link for the Ukraine DA?
The no link for the Ukraine DA.
Yeah, what type of capital is it saying no trade-off?
So
Like, what
When
is it
I-
saying no trade-off for? Is it security?
When I asked you like guys what it was, you said how like because NATO would be like there's different perspectives and stuff that like NATO's gonna have to like basically the U.S. and other NATO countries going to have to invest like a lot of diplomacy, a lot of time, and a lot of stuff
Okay.
to like get that passed.
Sorry.
And it's going to cause like a bunch of trade-offs. However,
If
that's
we,
not the
sorry,
that's-
if I can prove that there are many other layers to the links, does that overpower the no link?
basically that would be unfair because you're like overpressuring me now as the one AR to like basically get new evidence for you
Okay,
when like it wasn't me I mentioned.
okay, but like, would you mind if it's an analytic? No link.
Yeah, okay.
Oh wait,
What is
no,
this
sorry,
evidence?
right. How? Do you think like algae can like actually move away completely from fertilizer?
Yes, because like I mentioned before in my speech, they have photobioreactors which do not need fertilizer, and then also R&D we can make it so algae does not need fertilizer, and then there's also hydrogen which does not burn CO2 when it's burned, and which doesn't emit CO2 when burned, and then also of course doesn't need fertilizer.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Right, and the institutions about the U.S. That's interested in hydrogen are the states governments, not federal government, right?
So states are part of the federal like.
Well, different
Federal
levels.
here.
Just sorry. Can you and just answer?
The main point of that card was to show that like there is no problem with hydrogen, and plus you guys dropped that too. So
Sorry. Right. And what's the perm dune egg?
so I've had
do
two terms. I'll go back to them.
Okay.
Right. I had okay. Sorry about this. I had perm do both, including the plan's key to manage inevitable institutions, and then I had perm do the AF and the neg double bind. If the alt can't overcome the AF, then it can solve the status quo, and that's teaching out ways in comes first.
Right. Thank you. Right. So. Okay. And you're still like using the military as a spending agent, no?
So, and you know, like a part or Mabius Street two-part, it also talks about like the private sector being a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I know it's for like your K, but like,
Just go on.
this, like doing the plan, like it's like, yeah, sure, NATO is a military alliance, but like it spreads beyond that. Like it's the entire, like it's basically the countries in their private sector.
Okay, thank you. Right, I'll run. Can you run prep and tell me?
Yeah.
Can you tell me when I've hit 2 minutes?
Yeah, sure. Wait a second, I'll run it now.
Yes, thank you. It's so awkward not having a partner. So awkward.
I had to do like Maverick debate once when like Julie had to leave for like her pro hockey thing.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to cut cards, but I'm just gonna be lazy with them. Is that okay?
It's cool.
How do we make amends?
I swear I'd be able to do like everything quicker if I had you here.
Same. Like, what?
You wanna go downstairs? I think Yolanda's.
No, it's not. No, Yolanda's not.
Yolanda's still down there?
No, she left at 2.
You wanna stay up here?
Yeah, just sorry, I just got stuck.
Don't think you'll get distracted?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. Just let me.
Okay, this is. Everyone's coming back.
Yes.
Getting dinner ready, so.
Yes.
You're okay, you're okay. You're gonna get distracted, go downstairs.
Yes. Wait. How's my prep?
Oh. You have, well, yeah, it's actually at like, I'm just gonna say 4 minutes. It was like 3 minutes and 58 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Stop. Cut time. Right. The order in this case. Oh wait. Actually, what order? Order will be K. Debt. Ukraine. Actually, no. Oh wait. Actually, no. I have a block to split. Wait. Hold on. K. K and Ukraine. K
Okay.
Ukraine case.
K, Ukraine, and case.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my god, my head is just not functioning. Okay, right.
Cool.
Time. 3, 2.
Right. I will start Okay,
Okay.
7 minutes on the spot.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. So answering to policy-based framework. The reason why we must ensure that the app has ensure that prove that the epistemologies are not inherently ableist and the systems that they are endorsing are not inherently ableist. This is key to demolishing structures of power that create subjugation of disabled people. Also, Erasure DA, the base of public policy by technology never considered able structure, well, in 2008. The concept of ableism everywhere is invisible without concept of science, technology, policy, and governance. Discourse is invisible, but it's ableism to the extent one finds ableism results in very few hits combined with science, technology studies, policy studies, biotechnology. Cut the card there. So essentially we must reject that framework since it's essentially saying like, yeah, maybe it's okay if we just kind of push it off the side since the hard policy focus with a slight focus to ensure that it kind of looks like it doesn't actually get the job done. Now onto perm. Links are decisive permutations all solves through all. No links were contested. Therefore concede all those links. And then also for the perm masking the permutation get extension system that look like they're doing good for disabled folks, when in reality just conceive subject of disabled people. The perm is just the app putting on mask over the upholding an able system, less than putting on behind the mask frame. This is especially true for the able systems of NATO and the militaries, which is literally your actor for this plan. You are implementing things into the military to make them good, which you are proving them to act as good. This also doesn't meet the role of the ballot, which is who senses and who helps disabled people the most. Because every time we do work through the military or with NATO, disabled perspectives don't get centers, i.e. the alt, which is our role of the ballot. Alt solves entirety of case disabled perspectives can still solve for climate change and its advantages outside the app's endorsement of the ableist institutions, etc. Right. Continuing on to Ukraine DA, even a little bit of trade-off, there's absolutely going to be at least a tiniest bit of trade-off. Any sort of trade-off to Russia will perceive it as less NATO concentration or focus and investment into this war. And you put in views of the Ukraine war as an existential war. If they see that NATO and US is putting at least a tiniest bit of funding away, then he will take that opportunity and capitalize hard on it, which results in a nuclear war scenario that has a better time frame than the AF scenarios about green leadership and such. Because the Ukraine war situation is now, and Putin acts very quickly when he sees opportunities to prove, especially when it comes to an existential war. Therefore, and also China's watching, so China also invades Taiwan and also results in global great power war, nuclear war, which also leads into extinction. Also, on their extinction outweighs claims, extinction claims make us affect the probability of events and such, but also the subjugation of disabled folks also is a sort of inherent invisible disability of slow death. So So that impact calc is null. Now moving on to case. Refer back to. Oh crap, I forgot my doc. Refer back to the biological limitations of algae makes it unrealistic. This is about the biological inherent qualities of algae. No matter how much research and development one does on algae, there will always be these inherent limitations on the capabilities of it. It is simply unrealistic to say, yeah, you can just completely do R&D in order to completely eradicate the need for fertilizer. Even though smokestacks might have seemed like a glimmering opportunity, there's still always going to be a need for scale, and also scale because one, scale is also unrealistic for algae, which also decks solvency for algae in of itself as well. Also, I don't think anybody is actually going to want hydrogen anymore, even if some U.S. states are thinking about it, because of the whole, you know how that whole blimp with the hydrogen fuel and that kind of went up in flames. Yeah, I don't think anybody wants that for their military operations where lives are on the line. Now on to energy independence. NPR, the EU is cutting off imports of Russian oil products and is also implementing direct bans and is getting rid of its reliance on Russian oil right now. This is February 5th, 2023. This is earlier than the Unicus card. Thus the energy independence issue is alleviated. So therefore, and all the impacts of that advantage have already occurred. Thus, that is unnecessary. Now, moving on to green leadership, the ACT themselves said in cross-sex that climate change is not the only threat to U.S. and NATO credibility and their ability to have alliances, which is what actually the credibility thing hinges on. Not just climate change, there's also so much else. And also Ukraine DA turns advantage if the US and NATO fail to actually act on Ukraine fully and show true, full, resolute, which is necessary for such a war, then they also lose all their credibility because then NATO will look like a joke because of the Ukraine L that they would be receiving. So DA turns green leadership. And also the nuclear war scenario for the green leadership happens later. Also the things are losing up on time frame. All of our DAs and their impacts will happen as soon as the plan passes. Research and development impacts do not happen instantly. We still need research, energy independence, and now shifting the entire private sector and all that into biofuels will take time as the research and development to meet this scale. I refer back to our cards earlier. It says that in order to meet 5% of the U.S. transportation sector, not just the entire NATO countries, just the U.S.'s transportation sector, it would require the exorbitant amounts of fertilizer and resources, such also water. They did not tackle the water issue, which is space and all of that, which also is another issue because there are just simply too many limitations on growing algae. Smokestacks are not the solution, are not the end-all be-all for solutions. And also research and development, there is simply inherent biological limits. Everything has biological limits. It's simply unrealistic to believe you can just overcome those limits instantly with a little bit of research and development. Right. And also, moving back on, the EU themselves believe that the EU believes themselves that algae is not a viable fuel alternative. I need to find the card. I am not functioning properly. It's Harvard Political Review 20, right? Sorry, I just remembered the author. Also, right, and also the trade-off, no link for Ukraine DA is not the only trade-off that exists for Ukraine DA.
Okay.
Oh my god, that was so messy.
Do you want to take prep or not?
Cross-X.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, so 3 minutes.
Yes.
No. Okay, so here. On to the K. So, Rose, can you explain the erasure DA? You said that because we go on policy too hard, we exclude.
Well, here's the thing, centering debates on public policy and biotech, and proving that as a thing key. A lot of time when those things occur, then disabled ideas and such, which should be at the forefront, especially considering their key things like biotech and all that, they never actually get centered. So whilst the hey, just wait directly doesn't actually work, since you're still pushing the focus on public policy and biotech debates, which typically don't tend to care about disabled perspectives.
Okay, and then you said that okay, sorry. You said that we didn't contest your links, which is the military.
Oh, right, and also NATO slurs.
Yeah. Okay. Also NATO. Okay. Okay. And then let's like, can you explain how you like the alt overcomes the app?
Right. So one, the systems and ideas, the systems that you try to oblige, and the systems of ableism, the inherent quality of ableism is the lack of belief in the capabilities of disabled people. The technoscience alts in centering their perspectives overcomes the issues of ableism because it proves and puts at the forefront their capabilities, the greatness of them, and even with their limitations, their capabilities and abilities, and works against.
What if there is somebody who like is like let's say they are like they are doing the plan, does that make like your K just like not happen?
Sorry, could you reiterate what you mean by that question?
Sure. Like, if we do put like people who like are like discriminated against in this case at the forefront, then like wouldn't that make the K like non-existent?
But you aren't putting them at the forefront with their plan.
Okay.
And also the perm do both doesn't overcome.
Okay. How quickly would like that occur?
Which one?
The like alt, like
as soon as this round ends.
So like, okay. So then, if we said that like our plan occurred like while this debate happened, then like when.
Well, then you're not inherent.
Okay.
Then you're not inherent.
That's a stupid question. What the heck?
Oh my god.
No, I did not know what else to say. Okay, that's
then you're not.
Yeah, no, whatever.
Oh okay.
Well, anyways, it's year 1 AR, so.
No, NR. 1 NR.
NR, yeah.
Oh right. I'll just go.
Okay.
Even though I'm much of a mess. Timings.
I'll start the timer for 4. Yeah. For 4
Oh
minutes.
no.
Okay.
No. Sorry. Order. The order. Oh my god. I am such a mess. The order will be Dep DA and then just calc. A lot of calc.
Okay.
Right.
3, 2, 1.
Even though they may have raised the debt ceiling, that doesn't change the fact that they're still forcing the federal government, when they have so much spending and debt to handle, forcing the deficit even more and more and more when they try to cut the debt. If they try to raise the debt ceiling, that doesn't change the fact that they're still making it worse in the long term, the federal deficit even fatter than it already is, which is astronomically fat right now, which also it still decks economic growth because of the exorbitant spending, especially for research and development, which research and development requires intensive investment and such, especially if they're going to go and try and go in as long as they can for trying to do whatever they want to try to do with this plan and try to stretch algae and hydrogen to its greatest limits, which is not even possible, but whatever, I'll just get onto that. And also the economic growth, one, they didn't actually mention how their plan improves economic growth in the 2ACs, so concede that their plan actually decks economic growth. And this is especially concerning since the US is nearing another recession. TEPR 23, since at least hasn't a recession may still arrive at some point, so the Federal Reserve is determined to raise interest rate until inflation starts to moderate from its current levels. That can cause the economy to decline in a manner that no one, much less the NBR, could argue isn't a recession. So yes, we are essentially going into a recession, and the recession gets even worse and worse and worse, especially when you're increasing the federal deficit even more, which also lowers the faith of the people, which also turns green leadership again, but But also, when a recession gets bad enough, people start to really hate this government. People start to feel really horrible. We remember this from the Great Depression. We have so many suicides and all that, which feels bad, which decks the value to life, especially when you're trying to solve with such economic turmoil. Thus on impacts not only on impacts on one, the nuclear war scenario of the Ukraine DA, the value to life that decrease that comes from the economic debt, as we've seen from the Great Depression, and also the subjugation and furthering discrimination of the stable people that comes from the K, that this certainly overpowers us sort of later on in the future climate extinction, or perhaps just another alt cause to the Ukraine war, which actually focusing on that would solve for that, and the Russian war scenario, and also the democracy thing, since democracy thing as well, and the green leadership scenarios, and also DAs beat out on time frame. Debt DA things happen as soon as this plan is invested in, since spending checks go boom, rather than the results that come from that spending come in later, since research and development takes time. Research and development doesn't happen instantly, unlike the effects of such like the Ukraine DA, which as soon as Russia notices that, and once the US and NATO announce that, like, yeah, we're going to try to do research and development on biofuels, Russia's going to view that and represent that as, oh, NATO and the US aren't caring about this war, so that he will start to capitalize, he will start to bust out his nuclear weapons, which is a scenario not contested by the AF. And also, energy dependence is not the only cause of the continuation of Russian war. Focusing on the Ukraine war would solve for it. However, they are trading off with that, and they are trading off with resolute and focus. Thus calling that off. Moving on to some case killings. Note that they argue for solving a little bit of warming is good. However, if warming is inevitable, and even when you go back to our warming inevitable card, it says that even if we try to improve warming more, it's not going to actually work out in the end because of the inevitability and how bad we are now. God, that sucks. This round is so sloppy.
Okay. Do I think? Okay. I'm not gonna take that.
No prep
okay.
for 1 AR?
I don't think I have that much time here.
Oh, it's been an hour.
Okay. Let's see here. Hold on. Okay. I'll take I guess a minute. Lol. Okay, let's take a minute.
This round is horrible. What is manual?
뭐를 냈냐면요.
Okay. So let's see here. I have 4 minutes for my rebuttal.
What do
Okay.
you do rebuttals and how do you? Oh yeah, Public forum rebuttals are apparently 2 minutes.
Oh yeah.
How do you do a 1 AR in 2 minutes?
To be fair though, like public forum, because it's like one. They don't really have off case, you know. It's just like your case, and you're just responding to like stuff your opponent picked at, you know.
Okay.
Like you don't have to. Yeah. It's.
You don't have
Okay.
William and Czar.
Yeah. Okay. So, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Case energy independence. Sanctions on Russian oil have failed. Only shifting to biofuels solved. This is like follow 23. Sanctions imposed on Russian crude oil have so far failed completely. And new gas prices could only prove immaterial as well. Analysts told CNBC it's been tough for oil markets because Russian oil supply hasn't really been interrupted, and they've sustained exports at high levels, which basically means that like all the sanctions and like stuff that Ned was talking about basically all failed, and so only the like shifting to biofuels, which is like energy independent, will solve. Now I'm going to do impact calc on like all of our impacts, which the Ned completely dropped. The Ned drop scenario 1, impact calc. Energy independence erodes democracy because sustained the level 7 results in authoritarianism, which causes genocides, economic turmoil, wars, and affects entire countries, conflicts the world within days. Taking the Russian-Ukraine war as an example, where it literally took like the first few months of the war to literally cause like food insecurities for like Africa, and then Russia oil prices for the U.S. like skyrocket. And then only democracy solves. This is the Castles of War 21 card. It's only the government form that allows for social changes to bring climate change and can self-correct itself. So you should basically outweigh like the democracy solving, because it literally solves for everything. It solves for like wars, climate change, social problems, because it actually self-corrects itself. And then scenario 2, energy independence needed to deter threats like Russia, China, and Iran. So like even if like this also can respond back to like the Ukraine DA, and like the sense where it's like Russia can capitalize, or Russia or China can capitalize off any like slight instance of like capital moving away, because energy independence is key to national security, and countries won't have to really care if Russia and China start being hostile, because they can just go in and do whatever they need to do, because they're not worried about their energy. And then also responding to the I'll just stay on case actually. So they said how like they brought up how biological limitations of algae still apply. Our Farron 22 card literally says how like biologists like researchers, they literally beat the DOE's target range like over 20 grams of algae, which means that there really is no limitation. And with R&D, like we can expand like algae's limitations. And again, they only had one analytic to answer hydrogen with like no facts behind it. We had 3 cards for it. Now moving on to the K. The app should be able to weigh its impacts against the criticism without having to resolve any issues about the criticism. First, this is best. A, fairness. Will poise for critiques to exclude the app offense. Could claim disclosure first, mythology first. These are unfair poised and deny half of the app's offense. And then B, plan focus. Weighing the app's impacts is key to the deep focus of the merits of the plan and not entirely shift to the K. The plan focuses to education and impression debates. By the way, the NED completely dropped our plan focus in education, where we said, which turns case, yes, they completely dropped the fairness, how unpredictable, rigorous of frameworks strictly skews debates and fairness outweighs. This is completely dropped and it turns the K. So you basically go app, and then going on to the extinction outweighs. It forecloses future improvement, turns suffering and its moral obligation and death is ontologically and morally bad. And not only we have the one I see conditions with fairness, third person who sends facing fairness conspiracy have no jurisdiction to validate those in debate. So screwed out invasion and things so they're unverifiable. Also, if you want to engage with to not educate, there's no K education. You can see that fairness is voting that you can just have it for the app. And so now going on to the Ukraine DA, our card, the Gunther Brooks and Wolford 2016 have lose as alliances are key to deterrence. This means that like green leadership solves for any war attacks because we deter Russia and China.
It'll take forever.
Okay.
I have
Okay. We didn't take prep for your like marker. So basically, yeah, you have
3 minutes.
4 minutes.
Oh.
Wait, 3 minutes?
Oh, I don't know. Just do something.
I think
Just do 3:30.
you never took prep like after. You took like prep 1 for your 1 and 2, right?
I did take. I think. You know what? Just give me 3 minutes.
Okay.
I think it should be like that. No.
Okay.
Um,
How are you? 왜 물이 안 나오지? 리플레이스먼트. 이 신발 누가 살 거야? 민규가
Oh, we ever got another thing. I gotta read all my cards.
Okay, time. Do you want more?
No, it's okay. I have to be
Okay.
fair to the limits. Right, the order will be. The order will be K, Ukraine, and Ukraine, depth, talc.
Alright.
Okay, right.
Okay, for 4 minutes. In 3, 2, 1.
Kick the K. Right. Now on to Ukraine DA. One, yes, there is still a no link. There's still a link in place. Place because of the spending that goes on, and also the shift of focus that happens still going on. It is just an inherent quality of a new plan being introduced, which at this critical moment, key to the war, any loss of focus on Ukraine leads to military disaster. That happens again, which leads to a nuclear war scenario with Russia and China. Now they say that they plan on solving Ukraine because of their cutting off gas imports from Russia that is funding this war. However, note that they dropped the fact that our card that says U.S. is cutting off imports from Russian oil products and also banning them is more recent than the uniqueness card for energy independence advantage. Ours is from February. Theirs is from January. January. So the energy independence. So the fact that the energy independence turns DA is null because energy independence has already occurred. Also note that U.S. energy independence has already occurred, not inherent, and EU energy independence has occurred because no oil cutoffs concede both. So energy independence is not relevant anymore. Now on to DEP DA. One of y'all completely dropped DEP DA. DEP, they dropped everything to do it. Concede that point. Concede the fact that any military spending, any spending on R&D for the plan will trade off with domestic programs, will trade off with economic growth. Economic growth would lead to a recession, especially as we're approaching recession now. Worse recession leads to economic instability, which worsens, which makes people suffering because they get access to fundamental social programs and such, like Medicare, which won't be able to be funding even if the debt ceiling is raised. There are still limits, especially when you're investing something as much as an R&D plan, and still a greater deficit still leads to the economic growth decking economic growth impact. That still happens, and if the U.S. fails to manage its finances so horribly, who is going to take them seriously as a leader of the new global order? Nobody will. If you can't even do something like a basic budgeting deal like that a teenager can figure out on their own, how is anyone going to take the U.S. seriously, even if they try to act on climate change, which no, climate change is indeed inevitable, and even trying to fixing it won't even work because of how far we are going in, and as we're going to push the limit because of this sheer time, and especially with R&D, they are losing on time frames so hard right now because of R&D, in the amount of R&D they will have to go through. And if they lose on time frame, they lose on everything, because if time frame occurs, even if the app is 100% probable, which is not because of limitations and all that, and they have complete impacts, and even if they have greater impacts, that still doesn't matter since it's far into the future. The DEP DA happens now. The Ukraine DA happens as soon as Russia notices, which is probably going to be really quick thanks to the speed of the internet, and sends its nukes, because that's the time to capitalize and cause extinction. So because of time frame, they lose out on everything, and the DA's overpowered case, including the energy, and even though they are trying to say yes, energy independence overpowers everything else, one, energy independence happens later because of time frame delay, and also not inherent because EU cut off imports of Russian oil, which is the main internal link for the advantage, and also US is energy independent now, and some is indeed energy independent now, so that is not inherent. There is no need for that aspect of the plan. Climate change is inevitable. All the impacts about climate change causing extinction and global instability are going to inevitably occur. Green leadership is not going to matter because of the fact that NATO and US would look like a joke if they lost the Ukraine war, which they're trying to focus on right now, and prove that they could win this war and prove themselves greater than Russia. If they lose this because of
Okay, honestly, I'm going to do my 2 AR really quickly because I have another call to get on.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize we took so long.
No, I know. Okay. Honestly, it's just going to be case. So, okay. Case. I will... Okay.
Actually, just to the full length, it's 4 minutes.
Okay.
I want this to be fair.
2, 1... Okay, so they completely conceded, I'm just going to start from the top. So going on to solvency, in my one NRSA, we have way more cars than the neg, probably a total of 10 that support algae and hydrogen. Not to mention that hydrogen was never answered at all this entire debate round. So we still basically gain all of our, we still access all of our impact, all of our advantages in solvency, and going on to climate change. They literally dropped climate inevitable in the entire neg block. They just brought it up now. We literally got a card saying climate change is not inevitable, and that they're thinking about it wrong, because you can always try to do better and always try to fix cool the earth generations to come, which is what we're trying to do. And then also on to case the Vol 23 card was completely ignored, where it literally says that the sanctions, which also is a February card, for cards in February is completely dropped, which says that the sanctions have failed. And besides, even if the sanctions are like, we don't even know if they're working or not, because the next card doesn't even specify if they are. But but regardless, they completely just dropped their implied calc, which literally said how, like, even, like, energy independence, just having it, literally, like, takes away the road to democracy, which literally leads to wars and makes every single impact worse, because you have autocratic regimes now who will do anything because they feel empowered because of another country's dependence on them, to like Russia. And then the Ukraine, whatever, the like alliance returns the brought and got word 16 card was completely ignored at the entire round, which shows how deterrence green leadership. So like as soon as this round like is over and then the like surrounding the internet, NATO like gets like basically like pulls themselves together and shows that strong cohesion. Russia and China would have no reason to like nuke any places, because they're going to be scared to like go against NATO, because like basically NATO is like allied and together. They're like strong and unified. And then onto the debt DA, we basically awaited the of extinction. So even like with the debt point, and by the way, like NATO, like funding, the U.S. funding for NATO is like discretionary spending, which means that like annually the U.S. has to get that approved. If there is a problem, and by the way, like we already give, U.S. is already like NATO's member like $1, and there are any other countries pitching it too. It's not like the U.S. only doing the plan, which basically makes it improbable, because it's not like the plan says that we should like increase more than we already have. Like the U.S. has actually does have a cap on how much they spend on NATO. They only give a certain part of their proportional amount of their GDP to NATO for funding. So it's not like we're like giving more of that. If the U.S. knows that we're having problems, then they're probably going to discuss at like the NATO consensus that like they can only give this like X amount, which does not harm their does not harm the debt problem. Also, the only problem is like the only stuff is like infrastructure and healthcare. Our DoD card literally says that climate change causes droughts, hurricanes, tornadoes, all the stuff that like causes heavy duty spending, emergency spending, and like healthcare to go away and stuff like that. Anyways, so like not solving climate change just makes the situation worse. And so I'm going to stop there.
That was horrible. That was horrible.
It was horrible.
Maybe I should have gone for the K.
You're cool. I have to go though.
Maybe I should have gone for the K.
Session. Okay. Bye. Send it to Emmanuel.
Bye.
Maybe.
This is a tragedy.